I mean, you could go on and on and on and on. On and on and on. This is another example. When you stop and think that the Bengals this year, and you can say, well, is your backup quarterback? Well, that's true. But is Kenny Pickett a legit starting quarterback? I don't know. Mason Rudolph, he hadn't been. And you lost to that team twice. And Saturday's game was an embarrassment. Total embarrassment in every single facet of the game. Casey, your thoughts, if any?
Yeah, I was disappointed just like everyone else. But I'm not going to overreact to this, mainly because I feel like the game really wasn't like won and lost on a team effort. I know it feels that way, but when you look at it, really it was George Pickens had 200 yards and 2 touchdowns on 4 receptions. There was 4 big plays on crucial downs that absolutely killed the Bengals on defense. I mean, look at the rest of the stats. They were 30 for 113. That's only 3.8 yards a carry.
Yep.
And I know they had 2 touchdowns, but they were getting down in the red zone and converting in the red zone.
Yep.
I thought they did a decent job without DJ Reader. And you go back and look at the film, poor BJ Hill. I mean, he was just getting double teamed every time, getting pushed back 5-6 yards. That wasn't good.
Yep.
But if you take away George Pickens, right? If you were to wipe away the mistakes on the secondary, which a lot of what ifs there, I think they have a much better game on defense. Now that didn't happen. And we got to look at the secondary because it got exposed by George Pickens. And it wasn't just DJ Turner. It wasn't just Dax Hill. Awuzie gave up some big plays. Secondary, not a great day. On offense, it just wasn't Jake Browning's day. Not his day at all. I mean, he tries to throw the ball out of bounds, and he basically throws up a punt to 3 Steelers. I mean, could not be a worse way to start the offense. And, you know, on top of that, offensive line got bullied again. And it wasn't like we've got guys that are journeymen that won't be on the team later on. Maybe Jonah Williams won't be there next year.
It was the Jonah Williams game.
But, yeah, Jonah Williams got his tail kicked. Orlando Brown, I mean, he's getting bullied by Alex Highsmith.
Yep.
That's not even their best edge rusher. Volson's getting bullied by the Cam Hayward. And, I mean, that's what happened 3-4 weeks ago. So they didn't really change their game plan. And maybe we would have seen more running, but they were down 21-0. 24-0 at the end of the half. So where do you run the ball? You can't run. You can't establish the run when you're down that much.
Yeah.
So people that want to say they needed to run the ball more, I get that. But when you're down 24-0, you got to start throwing to get back into the game. T. Higgins had a great play coming out of the half, but then you give up another big play to George Pickens, makes it 30-something to 8, and you just can't come back from that. You just can't.
Casey, I don't mean to pick on you here, but you were like, I'm not going to be overly down on this team. I don't want to say it was any of the players. Then you went and picked apart every single part of this Bengals team. Said the line was bad, the secondary was bad, the quarterback was bad,
Punter was bad.
The punter, I mean,
I know, but I feel like it all stemmed from like 4 or 5 plays. It wasn't like the whole entire game. Like, it started off with the George Pickens 86-yard slant to the house.
Right.
And then after that, the Jake Browning interception. 2 really just, like, dumb plays where it's just like, how do you give that up? How do you throw that ball? And then from there, it just snowballed on both sides. I don't feel like that truly reflects the talent level or the how they should have performed, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. How many times are you going to give up a deep ball to George Pickens?
Listen,
like, how many times is Jake Browning going to throw a gimme ball in the back of the end zone when he's trying to throw it out of bounds. Like that just doesn't truly reflect what this team is, who they are. I think it was just a bad game.
I want to kill Jake Browning for a second, because if we're going to talk about that interception, which I think is maybe the worst interception I've seen from a quarterback, if an NFL quarterback, and listen, he's been fantastic over the last 3 weeks. He's been more than serviceable as a backup. He really has been great. I mean, you mentioned all the stats. He's had some of the best stats for the first 4 starts in a quarterback's history. But if you're a quarterback in the National Football League and you're trying to throw the ball out of bounds,
you can't do that. Yeah.
And you missed by like 4 yards, 5. Like he was 8 yards short of the end. He was 4 yards in from the out of bounds.
That was like 10 feet.
How does a National Football League quarterback try to throw the ball out of bounds and can't do that? That one play isn't the reason the Bengals lost. I just can't wrap my brain around how a dude that is playing professional football as a quarterback is trying to throw the ball out of bounds and throws it 10 feet in play and 10 feet short. Besides the point, but it was a complete embarrassment. Listen, I talked last week before we went off for the holidays about how the Steelers have completely warped my brain as a Bengals fan. I'm trying to shed all of the pain of yesteryears of being a Bengals fan every time I watch them, because they do come back. They do these things that old Bengals teams don't do. But for some reason, when we go head-to-head against Mike Tomlin, it turns into tough sledding. And we're sitting around making fun of the Pittsburgh Steelers. Mike Tomlin's lost the locker room. George Pickens is a bum. And what does George Pickens do? He completely tears up the team. There wasn't a single aspect of the game that you can look at and have some redeeming qualities if you're a Bengals fan. The pass rush wasn't there. The secondary was non-existent. They couldn't establish the running, and then they got behind, so they couldn't run the ball at all. And on top of that, Jake Browning plays across the board was very reminiscent of what we thought this team was going to be after they lost to the Steelers the first time. We thought we were going to see this for 7 more weeks. So it's a consistent, and it's consistently inconsistent, right? 2 steps forward, 9 steps back. 3 steps forward, 12 steps back with the Cincinnati Bengals. And I'm sitting here trying to talk up Zach Taylor because I do think he's done a fantastic job as a coach. But then you show up for a game that with playoff aspirations against the easiest team you have on your schedule remaining, and you completely no-show the game. I don't know how the hell that happens.
I was watching it on Saturday, and it was a nightmare. Losing to the Steelers in general is terrible. They've owned us. They are now 70-39 against the Bengals all time.
Oh,
losing a game that's essentially not a must-win, but it's pretty much a playoff game.
Yeah, that's right.
It's pretty much a playoff game.
Right.
You have to win 2 or 3 to get into the postseason. That was one you think you can win. Losing a game like that is tough. Losing to a Steelers team on their third-string quarterback, that should be their third-string quarterback, and Mason Rudolph. Losing to a team that hasn't been successful at throwing the ball all season long, getting absolutely eviscerated by Najee Harris. It was an embarrassment. To not be competitive in that football game is a joke. And this is why I make jokes about Zach Taylor, and this is why I'll never really believe in him, because it's almost impossible for a team to show such progress, such hope. They give the fan base such hope. They play so well. And then it all just disappears. Good teams don't do that. The Kansas City Chiefs, they looked terrible against the Raiders, but they were in the game. They were competitive. Very rarely do you see the Kansas City Chiefs get blown out. The Eagles get blown out. Very rarely. It happens, but rarely. It happens to Taylor a couple times a year where it's like, what are you doing? How is this possible? And Jake Browning, again, I've been on the Jake Browning bandwagon since he started playing well against the Jaguars. But at the end of the day, he has been terrible. He wasn't good. He wasn't good yesterday on Saturday. He hasn't been very good. I think he gets away with a lot of stuff because of the screens, and maybe that's the new offense. But I'm watching that game, and it's like Drew Sample in on every single third down.
That's been that like.
It has not been that way on every single third down. It has not been Drew Sample. It has not been for 75%. It's been maybe 25% he'll come in, but it is not more than not where Drew Sample is in every single third down. That was a new phenomenon. And it was bad. Jake Browning, it makes you wonder if that T. Higgins catch, if that's what he was trying to do yesterday. If it's the same thing, he was just trying to throw it out of bounds, but he's so bad that it somehow stayed in bounds, and luckily...
I don't understand how that happened.
And luckily, T. Higgins was down there to catch it. Maybe that was the same exact throw. How do you miss your trajectory by 25 feet.
Here's the thing, Tom, and he brought up a point about just getting bullied, just getting blown out. The Bengals have been blown out for better or worse 4 times this year. They got blown out on Saturday against the Steelers. They got blown out in Week 1 against the Browns. They got blown out in Nashville, Tennessee against the Tennessee Titans. And they got blown out when Joe Burrow got hurt on Thursday Night Football against the Ravens. What do those 4 teams have in common, Tom? The Browns, Ravens, Titans, Steelers. Physical football teams. That's the name of the game. And that's the one thing that Zach Taylor can't overcome. When he's playing teams that, kind of move the ball all around, like the Chiefs. Like we've had a lot of success against the Chiefs. The game plan's good. But when it comes down to playing between the tackles, Zach Taylor and the Cincinnati Bengals, they can't fit the bill. They can't fit the bill. They cannot get as physical. They cannot play these physical games against these physical teams.
Well, and look no further to back up your point. 0-5 in the division.
Right.
0-5 in the division against teams that everybody looks at, good, bad, or indifferent. The MO, at least for the last couple of years, if the Browns have gotten better under Stefanski, right? The Ravens have always been good. The Steelers have always been good. People look at them as bullies. That's what they look at those teams as, bullies. Whereas the Bengals are viewed as the skill,
right,
quarterback, wide receiver, running back, got it going on. Let's send our receivers out there and just sling it around. Well, most plays in a football game, you've got to line up and hit somebody. The guy who's lined up across from you in the line of scrimmage. And it's a mano-a-mano. You're going to get bullied or you're going to do the bully. And inside their own division, they have been embarrassed.
Well, hey there! Thanks for watching that video. I hope you liked it. I'll tell you what, if you like that one, you're going to love this one, and you're going to really like this one down here. You're going to like them both. Like, comment, subscribe, Chatterbox Sports on YouTube. Thank you very much. Have a great day.